Welcome to the RazPlus tutorial. I'm going to show you all the latest and greatest in Raz that you could be using in your classroom. So first and foremost, if you don't have your students entered, you want to head over to Manage Students and then your roster. This is where you can add students. You can also transfer students. So if I was at the beginning of second grade and I knew that some of my students had Raz in first grade, then I could just search their name and transfer them into my class. This is also where I would click on the RazPlus tab and assign my students an independent reading level. I can also print out student login cards, which are great to have for school, but also to send home so students can access this at home. It also gives them some parent information. If I click on settings, this is where I can customize how often and what types of reports I'm receiving from Raz based on what my students are doing. If I scroll down, this is where I can also decide what level books I want my students to have access to in the reading room. So I assign them an independent level, but I can also decide, you know what, I want them to be able to read books that are 3 levels below that, and I also want them to be able to read books that are 2 levels above that. Another great feature of Raz is the reports. If I click on RazPlus, the dashboard here gives me a nice pie chart of the different grade levels that my students are reading on. It also will show me top and bottom comprehension skills. If I want to take a look at individual student data, I can click on Activity. And then I would want to click on the student. Click that RazPlus again. Always go back to that RazPlus. And then I can see what she's done in the last 7 days. So if I look here, I can see that she read The Butterfly Life Cycle. So she read it here, and then she also took a quiz. You can see that there's 2 different times that she took a quiz because Raz lets them try and fix their mistakes. So the first time she took the quiz, she got a 9 out of 10. And then it will ask them if they got any wrong to try and fix the ones that they got wrong. So the second time through, she got a 10 out of 10. And it does allow them, when they take the quiz, to go back into the book to find the answers. Something else that I've discovered this year is that students can annotate text. So they can go in and highlight, they can do stop and jots, and they can also use think marks. And as a teacher, we're able to see what the students are doing in their text. So if I click here, View Student Annotations, then I can look through the book to see exactly what Katie was doing. So you can see this first part, she was highlighting some keywords. This is what a stop and jot looks like. So this is a really great way to see how your students are interacting with the text independently, and are they applying those skills that they are learning in Reading Workshop. Another feature is the skill report. So I can see the comprehension skills that Katie is doing well with, as well as the ones that she's struggling with. And then it also will tie them to the Common Core standards. If I hover over the letters and number, it will tell me specifically what standard that is. So I can also assign Katie something based on this data. So if I go back to RazPlus, and I look under resources, anything where you see this Saturn-like symbol means that you can assign it to a student. So all these different types of books can be assigned. And then if I scroll down, there's other options, like they have project-based learning packs that you can assign. You can assign some close reading. You even have the ability to assign some assessments. So you can use high-frequency word assessments. You can do some alphabet letter naming. You can even do running records. And I thought this was a great feature because the students can actually do it independently, and they record themselves reading. So if you wanted to have even more data, you could listen to it on your own time and score it to give you yourself some more data on how students are reading independently. One more thing that I wanted to show you with managing students, if I go back into reports, I can send students messages. So let's see, if I go back to RazPlus, and then I click on an individual student, I can send them a message. So in the past, I've sent messages based on voice recordings that students have sent me, or just skill reports that I've gotten. So I can send them a message, I can voice record my message, or I can type it in, and then I can award them some points. When the students go in on their end, they are able to see the message. And I know that my students in the past have really enjoyed getting those messages and knowing that I was listening to their reading or looking at what they were doing on Raz. Something newer with Raz is that you can also search by the PA course standard. So if I go back to that top RazPlus tab, and then I scroll down and click on US State Standards, then I click on PA, I can even customize the grade level. And then it will pull up those standards, and it will allow me to click on material related to that standard. So if I wanted my students to work on determining the main idea of a text, then I could click on this. And then it will pull up all different level texts and even other packs that they have that could be related to that standard. So then I could just click on one of the books. When you click on the book, it does give you a nice overview of the reading strategy, comprehension skill, grammar, and word work that all comes with this book. So you do have to be careful with this, and if I'm looking for main idea, this one here says the comprehension skill is making inferences. So while I could use main idea with this book, the actual comprehension worksheet that comes with it is making inferences, just to note that. So if I did want to assign this anyway, and I'd come up with my own main idea questions, then I would click assign. I can decide whether I want my students to listen, read, or do both. Do I want them to take the quiz? And then I can also include a constructed response question as well. Then I decide which students do I want to take this, and then I would assign it. The next thing I wanted to show you is the student version. So when students log in, they will have to have their teacher username, and then they can just click on their name. I've just decided to use an icon for their password just to make it easier. You can decide whatever is going to be easiest for your kids. So when they first log in, this is the message section. If I had sent a message that they hadn't read, then this would be flashing. Kids can also go into a writing room where they can choose to write instead of read. But we're going to go into the reading room today. This is where any assignments that I have assigned Katie will be. And then this is the reading room where she has the choice in what kind of books she wants to read. So it gives us some categories at the top, then it also gives us popular books on her level. So at the bottom it will show whether you want to listen, read the book, and then after you've done one or both, then you can take the comprehension questions. A cool feature about reading the book is that students can also record themselves reading. So if they choose to record themselves reading, then this would get sent to you as a teacher in your basket so that you could review it later. Last but not least, I just wanted to show you there are also some printable resources on RazPlus. So if I go back to resources and then I scroll down to instructional uses, there are some game packs that could be used for centers. They also have just different learning centers here, which would also be good to use in the classroom, as well as graphic organizer and fluency and comprehension packs. So there's a lot of resources that you could use in addition to students using this during their independent time. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and look forward to hearing what you find on RazPlus next.